to address that. So first, a little bit about you. Allison is very organized. I don't know if you already know that about her. She's a highly organized person. And so she gave me kind of the breakdown of parents and what their age kids are, but I want to hear it for who's in the room. So first of all, give yourself a nice pat on the back for showing up on a gorgeous Saturday. Last time I was here, it was a gorgeous spring Saturday. And I wanted to thank you for spending that time instead of doing whatever you want to do. And today's a gorgeous fall Saturday. So again, heartfelt thanks for being here. At least we have some windows, so that's nice. Okay. So how many of you have infants? Anyone with infants? Okay. And how many of you with more like toddlers? How about toddlers? Okay. Preschool? Like just before kindergarten, like in pre-K or 4, 5, okay. And then what about school age? Kindergarten through middle school age. And then how about teenagers? Any lucky winners? Woo! Okay, me too. I got 2 girls, so that's a little about me. That's all you need to know. So I used to be an elementary school teacher, so I really appreciated the last presentation. I was like, oh yeah, I know all this. So I'm a certified leadership parenting coach, and I do some other things too, but that's why I'm here today, is to do my parent coach thing. And so I help parents one-on-one. I give presentations. I'm all about education. But even though I do love to hear myself talk, that's not why I'm here. I'm here for you. And so if there's a question, a comment, if I'm not seeing you raise your hand, stand up, or just shout at me, I will respond, and I'm going to try to get to your questions. Okay, so I'm going to go on and say, I don't know why that does that. So we need to talk real quick about the seasons of parenting. So you guys identified, so I knew a little bit about my audience, but the season of service is your infant. You are revolving around that baby. Every need, everyone is taken care of for that child. Then we have the decade of discipline from about 3 to 13, and you are laying down the foundations. This is right from wrong, right? And then you have the season of mentoring and emancipation. You've already laid down the foundation. Now you're just there kind of observing, and you're there when your team needs you. And you're more like that mentor. It feels a little bit more like a friendship, if you get along. But you're not their friend necessarily. But that, of course, can develop as your children are adults, certainly. There is something I missed in between here. Those of you with toddlers, sometimes we call this phase what?
Terrible twos.
The terrible twos. Right, and now people are saying the three-nagers, right? So this is in between the season of service and the season of discipline. And the thing that's happening for toddlers developmentally is that they love being the center of your universe. Oh, it feels so good. And all of a sudden they start hearing, which I like to call vitamin N, the word no. You start dispensing some vitamin N into their life. You're telling them to wait. Not yet, in a minute. And boy, they don't like that. And what's happening is that you, as a parent, and if you're married, your parenting partner, have resumed being in the center of that family. You are now the center of the family, and they're rebelling against that, even though developmentally it's quite appropriate. So, but you want some solutions. You want to know, how am I going to set these limits and boundaries? So the plan A for having appropriate discipline and a calm, peaceful home is leadership. We need to exhibit some leadership. Well, what parents really want to know about, what do I do when my kid doesn't do something? This is the first thing when I take phone calls. My kid didn't fill in the blank. What do I do? And that is putting the cart before the horse, because before we can talk about the consequence, we've got to talk about leadership. We need to talk about that marriage or adult-centered family, which I've already illustrated or talked about. We need to have a mission statement. You need a purpose. And I help my clients create a mission statement. Here's the key to a mission statement. It's got to fit on the front of a t-shirt. and people need to be able to read it, not like 5-point font, okay? So you need to keep it really concise. Most of you have a job or have worked at a job. There is a mission statement. I know, we'll be honest. I worked for Wellstar. We had mission statement. So we have to have that mission statement. Once you know your foundation, then you need to have a vision for each child. Because as you know, the reason why you're here, every child that you have doesn't need the same thing. And so you need to have a vision for each of your children so that you have, when you have that vision, then when you point your arrow of discipline, you have a target. You're not just like, don't do this, you're not everywhere. You have a target at which you are pointing that arrow of discipline. And then once you have those, now you can have your family agreements or household rules. Of course, we like to roll those out in a family meeting, which should be fun. Popcorn, 15 minutes, done. Okay? Super fun, super light, super easy. And this is so important. Guys, you have got to master alpha speech. Who kind of has an idea of what alpha speech might be?
You're in charge. You're the one leading the way.
Right, so when you use alpha speech, you are demonstrating leadership. You sound like you're in charge. Does somebody want to demonstrate alpha speech?
You should call it like a daddy voice.
Daddy, yes, it's your daddy voice. Moms, how many of you are frustrated because you told your child something 3 times and your husband comes in, or your brother, or your father, they come in, they say it once, the kid's like this and does it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we can master that though, because we are the nurturers and we kiss the boo-boos and we say, oh sweetie, and that's great. When we want our children to listen to us, and I'm looking at my notes, please put on your shoes, you forgot this, we want our children to do what we tell them to do the first time we tell them to do it, one time, right? I shouldn't have to repeat myself, but we do. So we need to talk about alpha speech. I'm going to do a little demonstration about leadership, and I'm already getting warm, so don't get excited. I'm just going to take this off. Okay. Now I'm done. Everything else is on. Okay, so leadership. Here's what a lot of my clients do, okay? So let's say Jim Bob is my son, and he's playing Legos. Is that about a common? Yes, we can all identify with Legos. Okay, so he's here, and I need this room because the boss's wife is coming over because I volunteered for something, or she's going to help me with a Sibley Heart Center volunteer situation. Okay, so I need this space, and I need it cleaned up. She's going to be here in 15 minutes. Okay, so that's our setup, right? So here's what parents do today, even dads, because dads are now falling victim to this too. But we mastered it early, moms. Okay, so this is what we do. Hey, Jim Bob, oh, it looks like you're having so much fun with your toys. And God, honey, I hate to bother you, but would you pretty please help mommy and clean up all those toys? Okay? Hey, Jim Bob, it doesn't sound like you're listening to mommy. Listen, I'm going to say real quickly, clean up. Hey, Jim Bob, do you want to sing the cleanup song? Clean up, everybody, everywhere. Now, Jim Bob, okay, you're not going to get any ice cream. Now, you know that trip to Disney? We aren't going if you don't pick up these toys.
And then you lose your mind.
And then you lose your mind. And are you really going to take away Disney?
No.
So now you're crying, he's crying, and the door. Knock, knock, knock. And have you ever walked into somebody's house right after they've had a fight? Mm-hmm. Your stomach starts hurting? Oh, you're like, wait a minute, why do I feel sick? Something's going on. You can really feel it. Well, she's going to feel it when she walks in too. So this is not good leadership. Can we agree?
Yes.
Yes, not good. Does it sound familiar?
Yes.
Oh, me too. It does. So we need leadership, and alpha speech can help. So good leaders use an economy of words. We say very little. So y'all think about when I'm going through this, your favorite boss, the boss that got the most done, okay? They say what they mean and they mean what they say, but they don't have to say it mean, right? They come straight to the point. And even though they might give reasons, they rarely explain themselves. So, here's what it's gonna look like. And that you're gonna have to hold on that. Here's what it looks like, okay? Jim Bob, Legos, same setup, all right? Alpha speech, leadership. Hey, Jim Bob, listen up. See all those Legos? They're going in that basket. I'll be back in 5 minutes to see that it's done. Economy of words. So leadership, I gotta act. You know what I love doing and you know what I'm really good at doing? Oh, sweetie, that's natural for me. So dads, some of you have learned bad habits. You need to relearn the good ones that you kind of come naturally with. Moms, we're gonna have to step out of our comfort zone and we need to act like leaders. So, not that women can't be leaders, that's not what I mean, but as moms, we tend to want to, right? So, we gotta act like we know what we're doing. We gotta be calm and in control. So, we gotta act like we know why we're doing what we're doing. We gotta act like we know what we want. And we gotta act like we know we're gonna get it. And when I walk away after giving an instruction, that demonstrates to my child, wow, she's really confident that I'm gonna get this done, or else she wouldn't be walking away and coming back in 5 minutes to see that it is done. That's following all these. And when we practice this kind of leadership, all the responsibility for the misbehavior goes to guess who? We got to keep this in mind. Not my monkey, not my circus, okay? So when you let your child suffer the consequences of your child's behavior, I work with some parents and their children have to follow a GAPS protocol. And one of the things that I really help them do is know the difference between leaky gut related behavior and just plain old misbehavior because kids are kids. And even so, the child has to have a consequence, even if they had a lollipop. Because they also need to be informed. When I eat sugar, I have a hard time controlling myself. And if they are not given that consequence, there's no incentive for them to change their diet and to care for themselves appropriately. All right, I just wanted to put that in there. So,
So what happens when they don't clean up after that 5 minutes?
I knew it. That's what everybody wants to know.
I don't know if I jumped ahead of what you're about to talk about.
It's good. It's good. But we want that so badly, don't we? Because we know we're waiting to breathe because we don't think they're going to do it. And I love that question. I get it every time. So I appreciate your courage. The part of the problem is, and this is proof that we have lack of leadership, is that we aren't confident that our kids are going to actually do it. And they're not going to do it 100% of the time, so this is a very important question. We need to address it. But we have to actually really expect that it's going to get done. So let's pause this and let's talk about what happens. So let's say you come back in 5 minutes. Jim Bob is on Fortnite, okay? And the Legos are there. So does anybody want to say what have you heard? You don't have to own it. What have you heard other parents do, or what might be a popular parent, not saying it's you. Yeah.
Please remind them of the instructions that you gave them.
Okay, good. Go find Jim Bob is one way. Try to talk to him even though he's doing Fortnite. Good luck. And say, here's a reminder. That's one way. What's another way?
Well, what would happen in my house is I would freak out and I would yell about losing Xbox privileges.
Right.
And then I would threaten that if you don't pick up your Legos, I'm going to put them in the trash, even though I really don't want to throw them away because Legos cost a fortune. And
Baby dolls, we spend a lot of money on the Legos.
So I'm like, but but that would be my gut reaction, would be like, no more Xbox for you today, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw away those Legos if you don't pick them up.
Yeah, my kids still have a stuffed animal that I never want to get rid of because I threw it away one time. We still have it. And it was a disaster, right? Okay, so that is another option. What's another one?
In a really good alpha day,
Yeah.
I put everything myself in a bag and it goes away for 1 month.
Okay, so pick it up yourself, which I love part A of that, and B, put it away for a month. Total option, and I love how she said a good alpha day. I love that.
Not every day.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, this works. I say, don't play, put away, or mom will throw away.
Ooh, she's got a little rhyme going on. All right.
And it works-ish.
Works-ish? Works-ish? Okay, I'm gonna tell you, oh, you want to,
No, I have a question.
okay.
How do we control the alpha, the leadership, versus managing the cognitive ability and that expectation? We have expectation of this should be done when I'm alpha, clean up your toys, right? I'll be back in 5 minutes. It's not done, but the cognitive ability for that child to master that skill isn't there.
Yeah.
So then how do we not lose our shit because we're being that alpha? About children here, I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to be a joke. But how do we not and manage that push?
Okay. I'm gonna pause that. I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna show you what I would do. And I'm here, so I think I'm right. And, it's fine, sweetie. I'm feeling it. Woo! There's a lot of whatever. And then we're gonna address this. So, here's what you're gonna do. Part A on a good alpha day, okay? We're gonna take the toy. Leaders are calm and confident. We walk in, oh look, real quick. Gather them, put them in the basket. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, come on in, la la la. Part of that is because we are in control of ourselves. So that means self-care, some of the stuff that was talked about in our last mindfulness. We need to practice those things that we're supposed to give our kids, okay, y'all? So, and self-care doesn't mean getting a manicure and a massage all the time, okay? It could mean just sleep, although my nails look pretty good. It could mean just sleep, just taking a walk, just breathing, okay? It doesn't have to be expensive or a hassle. Okay. So now, it's dinner time. The guest has gone. You happen to have earlier made a delicious pie for your guest, and that was gonna be dessert. So let's say it's your kid's favorite, apple pie. After dinner, you say to Jim Bob, hey Jim Bob, I want you to go ahead and put your dishes in the sink, and then go get ready for bed. I'll meet you in to read you your bedtime story. And now you're serving pie in front of Jim Bob to everyone else at the table. What's Jim Bob gonna say? Yeah, I want some pie. Oh, Jim Bob, I'm so sorry. You can't have pie tonight. Chop, chop. Oh, why not? I'm so glad you asked me. I'll tell you exactly why not. At 5:15 or whatever time, I said to you, and by the way, I used so few words, I remember exactly what I said. I said, put all these Legos in that basket, and I'll be back in 5 minutes to see that it's done. And when I came back in 5 minutes, my dear Jim Bob, they were still there. So I did your job for you. And my reward for doing your job is that I get 2 pieces of pie tonight. So hurry up, go brush your teeth. We're seeing the dentist next week. I want to make sure you get a good checkup. Chop, chop.
Exactly what I did.
That is a lot more impactful than, I'm not taking you to Disney!
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Oh, and I have another question too. Yeah.
That is for somebody that can really, like Kit said, I have a 2.5-year-old and now doesn't want to sit in her car seat. So when I'm home, I can wait for her to, but if I'm at the supermarket and I need to get home and I need to seat her there, how I don't lose my, what he said,
Right.
before, because I just,
Right. Okay, I'm gonna pause that. gentleman in the green shirt. I'm gonna write that question down, we're gonna address it. Okay, go.
Shouldn't you include a consequence in the instructions, or no?
I love that question. Here's the funny thing about human beings. We can, in our brains, get used to anything. So when we can prepare for something, how many of y'all, and by the way, I'm not recommending this as discipline at all, okay? How many of you guys got spanked when you were kids? Okay. If you knew it was coming, you were like, you could brace yourself, you could clench up, so it hurts less. Like you would prepare yourself mentally and physically for the spank, right? And why did you do that? Because you wanted to minimize the pain or the effect, right? Do not spank your children. So, it just doesn't work. I mean, forget about what people's opinions, it's just not very effective. So, my methods are a lot more effective. When we want to do a shock and awe for our kids, we want, when I call it strike while the iron is cold. Everything's calm and everyone's happy, boom, no dessert. What? They are less likely to forget that apple pie. Oh, and the next morning they're going to remember. We talk about remembering. Oh, they're going to have good memories now. Because let me tell you something. If you tell your child we're going to have ice cream on Wednesday, they'll remember that. Right? They know it. It's Monday. We're having ice cream on Wednesday, not for a 2.5-year-old, too young. But they're going to remember that. They remember Disney's coming. They know that Santa's coming. But they can't remember their soccer cleats. So it's not cognitive ability. It is leadership. And we have to demonstrate to them that if they forget something, we're not going to suffer. We're going to let our children suffer the consequences of forgetting. Oh, well, I guess you're going to have to sit on the bench when you don't have your soccer cleats. Yes?
So I'm not a parent for more than 6 weeks, but I remember being a child, and this worked for me, which was, everything you're saying was great, and I agree with. But the act of putting toys away becomes a part of play for my mother, for me, right?
Yeah.
And the way in which it could be put away, because there's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah.
Could also have a reward structure built in as well, and that worked. So that play was also, the stage of play was putting things away. And the boundaries weren't, oh, play's over, now I gotta be bored now.
No, exactly. Now, my demonstration was we had something we had to do. Now, if you guys have time, get on the floor with your kids, play with your kids. It's Saturday. There's, whatever. Oh, let's reorganize these. And you can teach them all about organization and different classification and all that stuff. And I want y'all. Here's what I know. Y'all are already doing that stuff. I just want to make your lives easier. I want, for you, and I mostly work with moms, I want being a mom and a dad easier. I want there to be less conflict. There's going to be conflict, because, we're human. But I want there to be less conflict. I don't want there to be yelling. I don't want there to be guilt. Now, there's still going to be yelling, and there's still going to be guilt, but it needs to be minimized, okay? All right, I'm not forgetting about these people. I'm not. I want to get to this real quick because I think this is going to help answer these, okay? We need to know that leadership is a choice. We can make small changes in our behavior, create new healthy habits for us as parents that are going to help us be more leaders, more like leaders. Humans, okay, how many of you watch This Is Us? Okay, or any of these other dramas on TV. Humans love drama. Oh my gosh, sometimes things are going so well, we create drama in our own lives or at work or whatever. Anybody pick a fight with your husband? Anyone? Come on, girls. I'm bored. Why did you do that? Right. So we're hardwired for drama, but children actually manufacture it at incredible rates. They are drama. This is the worst day ever. I'm never talking to you again. I'm never talking. You're the worst mom Mommy! I hate you! Right? So they're drama factories. If we understand that about children, we're not gonna have to try to control it or change it. We just have to know they're kids. This is normal and natural for them. Now, really quick note. It is tempting, and I've seen it's really popular today, and I'm gonna tread very carefully here because I don't wanna come across as judgmental. But there's a lot of sarcasm in parenting today. There's a lot of, you're making me drink, I need mommy juice. I think we have to be very careful about the messages we're sending to our children. Because if we say, oh my God, I need a glass of wine, after they do something, what they hear is I'm driving, I am so bad that my mom has to do something in order to be okay. And what leadership is never doing that. Leadership is, I know today's the worst day ever, and I'm really sorry. Have some empathy. If you want to know about empathy, look up Brene Brown, all of her little TED Talks and everything. Just let them be mad. You know what? If I were you, I would be just that mad. I get it. You're still not going to Timmy's house. Yeah. So I just wanted to, I brought the temperature way down on that one. Okay. So what about, I'm going to skip this because I just want to say this part. Some of us, for whatever reason, we have children in the bed. Sometimes we need them, whatever. First of all, really quick, American Academy of Pediatrics, if you have a child in the bed, you should really be sleeping like a traditional Japanese on a mat. None of this down comforter and fluffy pillow stuff, that's not safe for babies, and I think we all know that. But really, none of this leadership is going to work if you have a bed in a child in your bed. Because when a child is in your bed, the child feels like they're on equal footing. And why would they listen to you? They're part of the marital bed. So, and I was a single mom for 12 years, so I'm not forgetting about any single parents, I'm just speaking in general terms. So, no. If they're sick, yes, they're in your bed. Thunderstorm, nightmare, yes, they're in your bed. But from bedtime until 5 a.m., adults only. And there are ways you can work out when you try to get them out of the bed, which we're not going to cover today. But they need to be out of the bed because until they are, none of this leadership stuff is going to work. Okay. Because it's just not.
Can I ask a related question?
Yes.
No, what about for those very, very young infants?
Yes.
A bed that's each in room.
So sometimes there may be a reason that the bed, like there's a bassinet, and then maybe there's a bed in the same room. Maybe you live like I do in Decatur, and the small houses. Sure, but they have their own bed. I don't care if it's a pallet on the floor, a hammock hanging from the ceiling, whatever. They need their own bed. There are different cultures, and I get that, but I'm just speaking right here, this region of the world. This is the way we do it here, and because of everything else we do, that's really best for these kids growing up in this environment. If you're off the grid, maybe it's something else. Okay, so let's, before we talk a little bit about tech, I know that we have these questions, and I know that I'm going kind of fast, and I've given you drinking from a fire hose information. Allison has these slides available online, and I saw some of y'all taking notes, which is good, but I also wanted to give you a chance real quick. Y'all can fill these out and then I'll finish the presentation. If you wanted to talk with me about some of these or any other issues, then definitely you can fill this out. So I've opened up my calendar, and then my assistant and I are gonna, oh, that's a lot for this. Open up my calendar so that y'all can schedule a complimentary. I usually work with moms. Dads, please call me even though it's me. I love dads too. Usually it's the moms who are, waiting for the Puritan magazine in the mail, not so much the dads. But still, I'm happy to speak with any of y'all, and you can schedule it here. If there's no time that works for you, just put your name and everything on the back. Oh, and please write neatly because I want to make sure, I don't want you to think I'm blowing you off. So I'll email y'all tomorrow about a time. So I just want to make sure.
You can also email me and I can get it to Susan. Yeah.
Thank you, or email Allison. Yeah, I'm happy. I want to be able to help y'all apply this to your specific family situation because I know everybody is different and I have to speak in generalities for today. So, while you're doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about tech because not everybody is worried about tech right now, but we are in the digital age. There ain't no getting out of it, and it's here to stay. Our children are born in the digital age. We weren't. So we have toddlers walking up to this, and you know what they're going to do to it? They're going to swipe. Okay, toddlers. So that's where we are. So a couple of information. So, and I have my sources down there. Overuse of social media affects sleep, self-esteem, and relationships. So my tweens, parents of tweens and teens, this is happening. Suicide rates among teenage girls are skyrocketing. Boys are still mostly interested in video games, but the girls are taking this online bullying, and it can be very subtle, very seriously. So, and this isn't about like scaring you, it's just really about awareness and accepting of the reality, okay?
We're seeing in 5th grade. We've already dealt with it.
Yes, 5th grade. 5th grade. Yes, and children at the grade school age will likely use tech every single day. And that's probably changed. That's probably already outdated. So I'm going to give you a little information about some tech giants. So we've got Microsoft, right? They definitely limited. The kids were allowed to use one computer and it was in the kitchen. There was no laptop for those kids. And they were not allowed to have a cell phone until they were 14. Anybody know the average age of a child with a cell phone today? 9. Well, my data says 10, but it may be even younger now. Yeah. Steve Jobs. He really limited tech for his kids, and when the iPad came out, he wouldn't let his kids play on it. So the other thing, 60 Minutes did a special a while ago, these app developers are literal geniuses, very, very smart people. They are the smartest people, the best people, and they create apps that you, kind of like a Lay's potato chip, can't just eat one. They create apps that make you keep using it. So, mom in the mirror, that's us. We're done, okay? I'm gonna read to you a couple of little studies here. So, in the early 2010s, there was some research done. So what they did is they put some caregivers in a fast food restaurant with children, and they gave the caregivers cell phones. So what happened was, if the caregiver was talking on the phone, the child would make a bid for attention. And the caregiver would attend to that eventually. But when they were swiping or typing on their phone, they ignored the bids of attention. So what happens to the child's attempt to get the adult's attention? It goes up, so now it's considered misbehavior. And when asked about it, the caregivers who were on their phone said, my child's manipulative. My child's trying to manipulate me. But when they weren't on the phone, they didn't characterize it that way. They just said, oh, he just needed this or that. Okay? So I want to tell you that also, if you're on the phone and your child needs you, you're not damaging your child. Like that's like, oh. Occasional inattention of your child, that's fine. How many of you remember when phones were attached to the wall? And if your mother was on a phone call, you would stand there and you'd leave, and you'd come back and you'd leave. And sometimes the problem that you wanted her to solve for you, what did you do? Oh, yes, you just solved it yourself. Look at that. So occasional inattention wait, not now. Whether you're on a phone or reading a paper or taking it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's healthy for the kids. This can be really good. It can teach resilience and self independence and all that stuff. But know this, when you're on your phone, these genius app developers, they are engaging a lot of your brain, and you are likely to miss the little cues before the behavior escalates. So our child's misbehavior, when we're on the phone, we need to ask ourselves, are they really misbehaving, or have I been ignoring the cues? When you have a newborn, they start sucking on their fist, and that's the first hint, baby's hungry. If we ignore the cues, eventually what's gonna happen? The baby's gonna be screaming, crying. So if we pay attention to the cues, it helps this emergency, it just stops the escalation. Okay, let me make sure I've got my points here. Okay, so I want to read this part because I can't paraphrase it as well as it's been stated. So, a mother telling kids to go out and play, a father saying he needs to concentrate on a chore for the next half hour, these are entirely reasonable responses to the competing demands of adult life. But what's going on today is the rise of unpredictable care, governed by beeps and enticements of smartphones, and we have seemed to have stumbled into the worst model of parenting imaginable, always present physically, thereby blocking children's autonomy, yet only fitfully present emotionally. Okay, and I just don't want to bring it down too much, but, so short, deliberate separations can of course be harmless, even healthy, like we talked about, but that sort of separation is different from the inattention that occurs when a parent is with a child but communicating through non-engagement that is, what we're saying is, my email's more important than you. And I know that's not the message we want to give, yes?
My husband seems to have a problem with that. I mean, like, he has to write the email, he absolutely has to write whatever email it is, and he always has the perfect excuse why he has to do that.
Right.
And, you know, I'm usually there, all right, Charlie, let's just go outside, or let's watch Paw Patrol. You know, but it is a little frustrating to me that my husband will just be like,
Right, and this is the perfect segue. You're like, do I need to pay you? Because this is awesome. So here's, first of all, a Bank of America study says that 71% of Americans sleep with their phones. 71%, okay? But here's what Dr. Rosen says, and this is gonna attend you. Dr. Rosen says, hey, I'm not sure that our phones are addictive. I'm not sure about that. There are studies that show that phone use and addiction have a lot of correlations. But Dr. Rosen said, no, I'm not so sure. What I think is happening is that our phones create a lot of anxiety for us, and going on the phone helps manage the anxiety. So this is what I do. I'm bored, what do? Pick up my phone, I go to my iCloud account, which is my personal email, and I start deleting the junk emails. What happens in my brain is I get rewarded for accomplishing a task. So I get a dopamine drop. Now I feel good. I'm not bored anymore, and I got my dopamine. I'm good to go. So that's why people think it's a correlation for addiction, but I think it's more, I agree personally with Dr. Rosen, it's more about anxiety management. So your husband is likely, I'm not a doctor, experiencing some anxiety. His child needs him. Maybe he has anxiety about that, like, oh, do I really have time? But my boss was in a bad mood today, and right? I can't do that. I've got to check this email. But the truth is he's attending to probably the wrong thing. Sometimes he may need to, but we got to set limits and boundaries for ourselves. And that's hard. And I don't know what to tell you because I'm not a marriage counselor. But, you know, y'all need to have a conversation about that.
yeah, I'll either talk to him or just, whatever, honey, go ahead and send the email.
Yeah, and that's one idea. So I want to, okay. I want to hear about what goals you have. I'm just gonna get 3. 3 goals for limits and boundaries, either with your kids, with or without tech. Just let's hear any brainstorm. What kind, or yourself, limits and boundaries. Let's hear from you. I'll take 3.
Not during dinner?
Not during dinner. So, commonsensemedia.org has device-free dinner, and they have a lot of resources for you. That's on the slide. Great, great, great. I love it.
Dual residency,
I don't know what that means.
2 different houses, parents.
Yes. So that's your goal?
Well.
That's where you are now.
Yes, trying
Oh,
to
okay.
manage, yes, thank you.
2 sets of rules, and one of you has one view and one of you has another.
Oh, that's
and
the
another
issue.
will
Yes.
cooperate. Yes.
Yeah, fill out that pink sheet because we don't have time to talk about that, but
You asked about the.
I got you. Yeah, and that goal, your goal then would be to manage that better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's a great goal, and please do call me because I have some ideas for you. Yes.
Putting away your phone from 4:30 to 6:30 every day.
That's so good. Very brave. I love it. Shut it down.
My kids are still in the younger phase, so we don't have as much technology, but more time playing outside or moving versus sitting watching the screen. Like my goal is to always have more of that than.
I didn't put this in my resources, but the book Spark, S-P-A-R-K, may be of interest to you all. This guy talks about, I forgot his name, I know he's a man, sorry. But he talks about how exercise and getting outside and spending more time in nature is the antidote to ADHD-like symptoms.
Spark breaks, they take them at my son's school.
Love it. Spark breaks today. That's awesome. Yes, sir, in the blue shirt. Oh, you were standing, okay, yes.
I'm working on earning screen time.
Okay, tell me.
Certain chores. Kind of like you said, reward with money, maybe chores, you have XYZ done, and you earn some amount of time.
Okay, so they learn that you gotta do something. You kind of like grandma's rule. First you eat your vegetables, then you get dessert. Yeah, okay. So I'll tell you a couple things I did. I took off on my iPhone, I went in notifications, and I shut them all down. So the only noise my phone makes, or buzz, is when the phone rings. Because I found that hearing that bzz, it would distract me from what I was doing. I'd wonder who's texting me. I'm trying to be a good mom, but now I'm split. Multitasking is a myth, we know that now, even though women are better at it. Yeah. So, it's a myth. And so now I'm not really listening. My child can tell that I'm gazed over because my mind is over here. I never picked up the phone. So that's just what I did. My kids hate it because they'll text me 10 times and I won't know. So now I'm in charge of my phone. If I want to know if somebody sent me a text, I walk over, I pick up my phone, and I have to open the text app. There's no number on the icon. I have to open up the text app. And you know what? I get a big drop of dopamine because I'll have like 5 texts and I'm like, oh, I'm so popular. Yeah, people like me. Okay, so those are just some, I wanted to tell you two, okay, so some next steps. Tech break, some of y'all talked about that. Device-free dinner, my man gave me that one. Real talk, have a conversation. So we're gonna put down from 4 to 7 or whatever it is, put that phone away and have real conversations. Have a family agreement. I can help you with that. Expectations for older kids' contracts. I have that available. Also, I think it's on my blog. I have a free PDF of the contracts. Model good behavior. Model your control because kids are going to do what you do. And then next steps, which we kind of already talked about. So, in the last few minutes, these are the resources I love. This woman right here, #parentingtips.com, Suzanne, she's amazing. Want to let you know about that. So here, and that's me at the top. How to stay cool when your child is fighting you, whatever, at the grocery store. So, when you have a toddler, you need to have the proper mindset and expectation. So it takes a lot of planning. You're not going to do it before nap time. And sometimes, You are gonna have your kid having a tantrum in the grocery store, and you're gonna pick your kid up, and you're gonna leave the grocery, just leave the cart there, and you're gonna walk away, and you're gonna go home.
I've done that.
You're just gonna go home.
That's what our pediatrician told us to
I've
do.
done it.
Just go home.
I've done it in Whole Foods.
The
with a
problem is
full
to
cart
put
of
her in the car seat to go home.
But that's, I know. Well, we all know this trick, right? We got the knee in the crotch trick. We're not kicking them, we're not hurting them, we're just kind of bending them so that they fold. Get it in!
So that's okay.
Well, you know, I don't want you to hurt your child, but
I just close the door so I don't like people seeing me while she's screaming. I'm just
right. So pre-plan, it may be that your child's going through a phase, and so you're just gonna have somebody babysit, or you're gonna do your shopping when your husband's home. Or have your husband do the shopping, which is actually what I recommend most of all. Grocery shopping.
Now they say Kroger do the click it.
Click list, there you
Oh,
go.
now they got click list.
Instacart,
I'm a
bring it to
cheap
your
girl.
house, shipped.
But I got teenagers now, so. All right, so then control, how do I practice leadership and stay in control, and how do I know I'm not developmenting, I think he left.
But this is.
They're just meeting with the school
Oh!
teacher.
Oh, no, sorry.
No, they're just meeting with the school teacher, but they're
Oh,
still.
they're meeting with the school teacher. But I think, I was gonna clarify, but I think what he was saying is, how do I know if I'm not, like, I don't wanna interfere with the cognitive development, like what we learned about before, by, exhibiting some kind of leadership. I don't wanna cut my child off at the knees as far as their development. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. And then we're gonna do a little exercise, because I think we have time. Can I have-
We're 15 minutes over.
Oh, we're 15 minutes over.
Yeah.
We don't have time.
But can
So
you hang
here's
around
what
for a
we're gonna
minute?
do. We're just
Yeah.
gonna say that when you create a vision for your child, when you have a mission and you create a vision for your child, that's important. But here's the most important thing of all, and this is the perfect thing to close on. Do not trust me. Do not trust the good doctor. Trust your gut. You are the parents. Now, if I'm saying things and you're like, oh yes, and you're nodding your head, then good, do what I'm saying. If I say something or somebody says something, you're like, no, son, I'm not gonna do that, don't do it. The oldest pediatrician in Georgia, I think she died now, I forgot her name. She did die? Yeah. She was practicing like she was like 100. Yeah.
Ours is in his 80s.
Okay, in his 80s. So he would probably like this. The squirrels don't need a book. And neither do you. We have generations that went before us. It's innate, it's coded in our DNA. Trust yourself. Find to seek outside help and sources, but at the end of the day, you are the parents and you know best. Okay, thank you so much for coming.